This is always a good time talking to our next guest. He is Gary Gait. And all right, Gary, we'll get into the lax in the game on Saturday. But man, I spend my days now just talking transfer portal and NCAA rules and all this stuff. How tough is it for you right now as a head coach in a landscape where, like, there are no rules? Like, it's just nobody knows what's going on. Like, I know you're good at reading the rules and figuring out what to do within them. How tough is it when there are no rules and you're just all kind of winging it right now?
Well, we're just wait and see. That's why we're sitting there waiting, and we haven't been told much on what's going to happen, and things could change a little bit. I know people are talking about 5 years of eligibility now. I'm like, oh my God, with the roster cap, like that creates a serious issue if that happens. So there's lots going on for sure, but I can't worry about it until it happens.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do in that scenario, right? Like, do you just wait until you're given the answer and adjust? Do you have to start planning on, you've got guys on your roster. Unfortunately, you might have to say, hey, we literally are not allowed to have this many anymore. Is that you wait till you're given the actual ruling, or do you have to make a bunch of contingency plans until it happens?
I think you just got to wait. I think the good thing is everybody's going to be in the same situation, And I think everybody's kind of just waiting to see where it finishes. What's our roster number? What's everybody working with scholarship wise? There's so many questions out there we don't know. So
how different is it for you, Gary, in lacrosse, or people coaching a quote unquote Olympic sport than if it's, say, football or basketball, where you're just almost in those sports assuming the flood of money is coming in, right? How different is it for you to deal with this process going through it?
It's completely different. We've always been more concerned, even with NIL. We're not on full scholarships. We're not a head count sport. Right. We become one next year potentially, but don't have the scholarships to fill those spots. So, and with the cap on the money, not allowed to add scholarships, so we're back to NIL. So there's so much going on. Like I said, I can't get too caught up in it, too worried about it, and we just have to wait and see and see what happens.
Yeah, I'd say this, if that 5-year eligibility thing comes through, though, you're probably not kicking Joey Spallina out, right? Like, that could be a really intriguing thing to get some of these guys around for an extra year.
Yeah, well, but if you keep the cap the same, there's right. Going to be a bunch of kids floating around that don't have homes, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, how tough is this, for high school kids right now? You're obviously heavily involved in recruiting. I'd imagine if you're like a high school junior or a high school senior right now, it's got to be nerve-wracking going through this, where you don't know where you're going to go to college or how this is going to affect your life.
You don't, things are great right now. We have
on shoulder ahead.
Verbal commitments for kids, and we're all set, but it may change. But I don't think, I haven't had any of them reach out to me until the rules are actually changed. I don't think anybody's gonna really, it's a wait and see for the athletes as well.
We got Gary Gait with us. We'll get to the game here Saturday in a second, Gary. Less than all this, you've been involved in college sports coaching now for, a long time. Go back to when you were at Maryland with the women's team in the 90s. Yeah. You've been involved for a long time. Is this the craziest period you've been through, all these changes? Can you compare the unknown of this to anything you've been through before?
Oh, I think I started coaching at Maryland in 93, and there's nothing like this, the amount of change in the last couple of years. COVID was the biggest thing, that was the craziest thing ever, to have to go through. Kids got extra years of eligibility, and, rosters inflated. It was a crazy time. So this I think will top that, though, for sure.
If everyone magically gets an extra year combined with the NIL and the roster changes, man, oh man, I wish the best for all you coaches with that, because I have no idea how you're going to work your way through that. All right, Gary, a big game coming this Saturday. Carolina will be in town. What do you make of where your team's at right now? The last time you were in the Dome, massive win against Notre Dame, came up just short against Cornell, and I'd say you'd say it didn't put your best foot forward against Duke last week. Where is your team right now as you hit the regular season finale?
I feel pretty good. Like, we're having a good week of practice so far. Guys are dialed in. We're home in the Dome. Looking back at the Duke game, was definitely not happy about that. I think besides not shooting well, the effort wasn't there that we needed, and I think we've addressed that, and I think these guys are excited to be back in front of our massive crowds in the Dome, and super excited for Saturday.
What do you attribute to, and we are expecting a big crowd on Saturday. You had a huge crowd for the Notre Dame game a few weeks back. You guys have played very well in the Dome this year. It's been a little sketchier on the road. Is that as simple as it's harder to play on the road and an advantage at home, or is there anything else you put your finger on with that stuff?
Yeah, I guess you chalk it up to that. Like, as a coach, you try and prepare your kids. You try to do everything you can. It's just the goal's the exact same size as in the Dome, and everything's the same, field's the same dimensions. So you should be able to get the same type of play from anywhere. But unfortunately, we haven't gotten that on the road. But hopefully we get time to work on it in the ACCs and get ready for the playoffs, which, could be on the road.
If you did the Hoosiers measure everything, the goal would still be 6x6 wherever they put that thing, Gary. And here comes Carolina, man. You've played some crazy games with these guys over the years, and Dave Petramala on the other side. Obviously, you know him well. What's the matchup here like, where Dave knows what Pat's doing on offense, Pat knows what Dave's doing on defense? What's the chess match like this week for you?
I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be fun. We went through it last year, but Coach March wasn't there. I ran the offense for that game last year. He was taking a day off. I'm excited to see them, his offense against Dave's defense. They can settle past arguments sitting in the office, which who's better, so we'll see.
That's got to be funny. I'm sure those two, all good fun, right, Gary? Those two guys must have gone at it with stuff like that when the 2 years they worked together.
They're very, both have strong personalities, good leaders, so, they believe in what they do. So I'm glad they both do.
How important is this game, Gary, on Saturday? Because the margins are so fine in men's lacrosse right now between literally being a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament and missing the NCAA tournament. How important is this game in the grand scheme of your season of getting where you want to go?
Well, I think it would take the pressure off, of tournament and seeding and all that stuff if we can just take care of business, get the win, We had a similar type pressure last year when we came through against Virginia in the last game of the year.
Right.
So I'm hoping that we get a similar performance Saturday, and just take the stress off everybody and say, hey, now we got to get good at playing on the road. And focus on that for a week, It would be nice.
Because, this is the last Dome game you're guaranteed. We'll see about the opening round of the playoffs. Then regardless, besides that, you'd be away from the Dome. All right, what decides it Saturday, Gary? What are you looking at as the decisive factor between you and Carolina?
I think it goes to our shooting percentage. When we it's a number one measuring stick. When we don't shoot well, we can hold the team to 11, which is great. It's awesome. We're currently tracking the lowest goals per game in the ACC in the history we've been in it. Wow. So we can keep the goals low, but we got to be able to score more than 7, 10, 12 goals. So shooting percentage will be a good measuring stick if we're putting the ball in the back of the net.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that early and often against Carolina for sure on Saturday. Again, face-off in the Dome. Regular season finale is 5 o'clock Saturday for the Qs and the Heels. All right, Gary, thanks as always. Best of luck Saturday.
Appreciate you, and I hope everybody comes out and joins us. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, should be a great crowd on Saturday. There he is, our guy, Gary Gait, head coach of the Orange men's lacrosse team. Last guaranteed Dome game of the season. We'll see if we need to reserve that 7:30 Sunday night graduation weekend in the Dome for the men. And Saturday, really important for that. Our bubble, the bubble is so weird with lacrosse. Like Syracuse is on it, but also maybe hosting games. It's just this very, very thin line. But you win the game Saturday, you start feeling a lot better about both of those things.